Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. So I'm doing it, I'm getting it out of the way. This video is going to be dedicated to the return of Sanguinius. I know, this is going into the realms of madness, but I did promise that I'd do every single Primarch, discuss about how they could return, why they could return, even if it goes into that realm of madness and crazy theory and everything like that. So I'm going to jump in and I'm going to start discussing about the return of our glorious Lord and Saviour, Primarch Sanguinius, the hawkiest of the hawks. So let's jump in and let's get started. So Sanguinius was the Primarch of the 9th Legion, the Blood Angels, and even though I'm a huge Dawnian fanboy, I basically just love Rogel Dawn, I can easily admit that Primarch Sanguinius is the best Primarch. He's simply just fabulous and amazing. His like battle ethic, and once Sanguinius goes to that level of like rage mode activate, he can obliterate anything, any Primarch, anything, well, bar Horus. And he's just incredible. Like at the Siege of Terror, he basically defended the Eternity Gate on his own. Well, the lore is that he did defend the Eternity Gate on his own. He basically beat Karbunda, who is a demonic Primarch. Sorry, he's a demonic demon. Great demon of Khorne. He's not a demonic Primarch, sorry. Tripping over my own words. And he beat him once on Cygnus Prime, and then he basically span him up in the air and did a wrestling move and snapped his back over his knee, because why not? And broke him on the steps of the Eternity Gate. So Sanguinius is definitely a complete full-on badass. Now, we probably all know the story of Sanguinius' demise. During the Siege of Terror, the shields on Horus's flagship were lowered. We don't know why they were lowered. People say it was a sign from Horus to basically signal to the Emperor to come fight me, bro. I think something else has happened, but I'm sure that's going to be revealed later down the road. Anyway, the Emperor, Horus, Dawn, and some of the chosen custodians and some marines and stuff teleported to Horus's flagship. They all got separated. Sanguinius was the first to enter Horus's, let's say, throne room, let's say. Apparently Horus was like, join me, brother, and Sanguinius was like, no, you're such an idiot still. So they had a little fight. The rumour is, now this is the big rumour, is that Sanguinius put a crack into Horus's armour, and that crack was then the Emperor could use his mind bullets, let's say, to kill Horus, because at this stage Horus was like full on as powerful as the Emperor, but with like dark powers, let's say, and Sanguinius couldn't go against that. Even though I said like Sanguinius is the best Primarch, he probably could have beat Horus, like if Horus didn't have his chaotic powers and stuff. But Horus was just on another level. He wasn't basically Horus anymore. He was just something else. So he basically got choked out and it died, let's say. But the thing about his death is, like, when he died, there was this like psychic shock which got sent out, and everyone who was his gene son, so the Blood Angels, all felt the death of Sanguinius, and that is where the Black Rage comes from. So when a Blood Angel is lost to the Black Rage, he actually lives Sanguinius's last moments, which is a really cool thing. So Sanguinius sacrificed himself for the Emperor. The Emperor basically just mind erased Horus. That was it, the end of the Horus Heresy. Sanguinius's body was took back to Baal, and apparently, now this is where I'm a bit confused, and the waters is quite muddy. Now, according to what lore you're reading, Primarch Sanguinius' body is actually in stasis, but according to some of the new lore, his bones are in stasis. Like, his body is like basically gone, and it's just his bones which is left. So he's got like no skin or anything like that. You know, he's basically just been like rotted away and stuff. But on some of the lore, it's basically stated that his full body is in stasis, which I can't really see because I've just read the devastation of Baal, and there's no mention to, like, you know, Primarch Sanguinius' body being in stasis at all. Something that is in stasis is like a feather from his wings, which is really cool. I won't ruin that. But yeah, there's really no mention of Primarch Sanguinius' like body at all in stasis. I think at this stage he's just a bag of bones. Now, since his death, Primarch Sanguinius is probably held in the highest honour among all the Primarchs. There's actually a religious day to Sanguinius called Sanguinala, if I'm pronouncing that right. It's basically just like, I would probably say Easter, if you want to put it into like context, something like that, where everyone praises Sanguinius and the Eternity Gate. Like it mentions it in Chris Wraith's Custody book, Watchers of the Throne, where Sanguinala takes place, and there's a big like religious event where they all go to the Eternity Gate, and there's like loads of people there, and they all start praying and chanting and all that kind of stuff. So Sanguinius is very, very held high when it comes to the Imperium and, you know, like the common people and the hierarchy and stuff like that. Sanguinius is basically still the man. Now let's get on to the juicy stuff. Could Sanguinius return? Should Sanguinius return? How could Sanguinius return? These are all the questions which I'm going to attempt to answer, probably in an awful way, probably get people really, really mad, but let's just go down these crazy routes and let's see what we get. Now, I am firmly in the camp that Sanguinius should not return as Sanguinius, like, you know, Sanguinius' form, wings out, you know, basically just how we picture Sanguinius in the Horus, basically Sanguinius from the Horus Heresy. I think if that was to happen, then I think it would ruin the Horus Heresy storyline, especially for like the ending and Sanguinius' story arc, because the way it was with the Horus Heresy, that Sanguinius knew his demise going into Horus's throne room. He had visions and stuff and all that kind of. I won't ruin it, but basically Sanguinius knew what was going to go down, and I think if you bring him back, it would cheapen his story and just make him feel like, okay, this doesn't. You know, it just doesn't fit right with the lore. Now, he could come back through a kind of essence of mind, and this is kind of happened already in the devastation of Baal. Again, just ignore this if you don't want to like be spoiled or anything like that. But at the end of the novel, it's actually really, really sad. I've mentioned this before, is that Dante is basically dying, and he sees Sanguinius. And Dante thinks, right, my time's come. I've finally lived my duty. I've finally done something. You know, I can finally die in peace. And he's there with Sanguinius. Sanguinius is like touching his face. I think he's got a hold of him, and Dante is like nearly weeping because he's looking on his lord. And he's like, Father, I've served. I can finally rest. And Sanguinius is like, no, my son, you have more to do for me and stuff like that. And Dante's like, no, Father, please let me rest. And Dante, you know, goes back and he's saved and stuff. But for me, I think that's the best way to bring back Sanguinius in like visions and like try and help his sons through a certain character, not through like characters like everyone all of a sudden has visions of Sanguinius and everyone's like getting different missions of Sanguinius. A certain son, and that certain son I personally think should be Dante. We already know like Dante has visions and all that kind of stuff, so maybe those visions can be expanded on, and Sanguinius visits him in his sleep or however it bloody works, and maybe he, you know, speaks to him, and I think that's, for me personally, is the best way to bring him back into the 8th edition setting, and just keep it, you know, not ruin that story arc in the Horus Heresy, but have that like kind of psychic vision or psychic essence of him still around. Now, if we want to go down to the dark paths, and this is me going fully off the rails, excuse me, because I'm about to talk about Sanguinius going back in his glorious full form. This probably will never happen, but let's just do it. So we know for a fact that Sanguinius's psychic essence is stored on the Vengeful Spirit. This was mentioned in the Black Legion series by Aaron Dembski-Bowden. There's actually like a psychic essence of Sanguinius, which the actual Black Legion members torment and like smash up and stuff, and it reforms itself and stuff like that, which is kind of really sad. Like that essence of Sanguinius' pain is trapped in that form on the Vengeful Spirit. Maybe there could be like some kind of battle or something, and that psychic essence is released, and then maybe that psychic presence then is brought back into the 8th edition story, where, you know, you basically have this psychic figure of a character, because Sanguinius was like full on psycho. He wasn't Magnus. Well, I don't know. I don't think he really went in and tapped his full potential. But he wasn't, I personally say he wasn't Magnus level of psychic, but he was very, very up there along the lines of, you know, being one of the top psychers with the Primarchs. So if he came back in this psychic, or maybe, you know, maybe his body reformed due to this psychic essence, and let's just say that Sanguinius come back in his glorious golden form, what would happen to the Imperium as a whole? Well, I personally think that Sanguinius takes a top spot. Guilliman would bow down to him. Basically, Guilliman already bowed down to him with the Imperium Secundus, and they basically made like the Imperium Mark II, and he was made the Emperor of that, which they don't really mention anymore because that was kind of heresy. But if Sanguinius did come back, I can see that really happening again, where he is made like the top guy, and then Guilliman is more like his advisor. Everyone respects Sanguinius. Everyone knows how much of a badass Sanguinius is. No one would argue with Sanguinius. Like I said, there's a bloody holy day dedicated to Sanguinius, so everyone in the Imperium would see this as a divine event, something that the Emperor has done, and you know, it's the right way. Everyone in the Imperium would just bow down to like a reborn Sanguinius. I personally think it would make the Imperium just too imbo. It would just make them just too powerful. No one could stand up to Sanguinius. Like I said, the only person that could stand up to Sanguinius in the old days was Horus, and he basically had like all the power of, he was basically like just chaos. But no one really has that. You could probably argue that Abaddon is on that level, but I don't think he was on Horus's power level. Like when Horus was at his height, he's more or less using the dark gods to his needs, whereas the dark gods were using Horus, so that's why they embodied him with all this power and stuff. I know Abaddon has like his sword and stuff like that, but I still think if he went a one-on-one with Sanguinius, he would basically get his absolute behind kicked. So I think like a reborn fully Sanguinius would just be just too powerful. I'm trying to think now, something that could stand up against Sanguinius and, you know, take him on in his just like reborn form. I don't think there's anything, and it, like I said, it would just make the Imperium just too imber. As much as I would love Primarch Sanguinius to come back, as much as it would be just like fully on just hardcore, just watching him just purge heretics and everything like that, I'm gonna have to say I really wish he just stays where he is and does nothing. His storyline was about sacrifice. He sacrificed himself. That is the end of Sanguinius's tale. It was short, but it was emotional. It was brilliant. It was lovely. It was fantastic. It was everything what we all wanted. He died for us, and that's that. I've got to say that if they did bring him back, I think it just cheapens him. I just hope he stays. There's plenty of other Primarchs what you can bring back, which makes a lot more sense than Sanguinius. So I really hope they go down that route instead. Right, that is me done for another video. I hope you've enjoyed it. Again, this is just a theory. Don't go losing your mind. Nothing is happening. All these videos I do, I keep seeing people like post online saying, "Oh, Valrak said this guy's coming back because of this video." These are all theories. These are just exploring the wildest theories and just having a laugh, having a bit of fun about everything. Don't take it too serious. It's all a bit of fun. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you've had a nice time listening and watching, if you're watching the art and stuff like that. And thank you, and I shall see you all very, very soon. See you now, and bye-bye.